my name is Regen.morgan and welcome to my channel. Today I'm filming a video about my fitness journey. I asked you guys on my Instagram what you wanted to see and I got a lot of responses for a fitness journey video. And for those of you who don't know, I competed in a bikini bodybuilding competition. I did 2 of them and I spent a good portion of last year prepping for those. And I had a significant amount of weight loss during that time. I lost 40 pounds in total, and I've obviously gained weight since then. But since my starting point, I've lost 20 pounds. So I just wanted to give an overview of like weight loss and fitness and all of that stuff. Nutrition is a big thing too, so that is the biggest part in any weight loss journey. So I'm just gonna go ahead, and I have a list on my phone here of all the years of my fitness journey, and there is a lot of stuff on that list, so bear with me during this video. There's many phases. I'm gonna try to add pictures where I can to give you guys visuals of like where I was throughout my journey. So let's go ahead and get into it. Growing up, I was a gymnast and I played softball, so I was very active. I didn't pay any attention to nutrition. I was an extremely picky eater. Now that I know a little bit about nutrition, I basically was eating carbs and fats, no protein. I did not like meat at all. Like I would eat it sometimes like chicken nuggets or something, but I did not like lean meat at all. So I was living basically off of carbs, and I went through stages in high school where I probably wasn't eating enough and I was just eating empty carbs, whatever I could get quickly. I ate a lot of like bread, soup, pizza, noodles. Those were my favorite things. So I was very active though. I was practicing between softball and gymnastics 6-7 days a week. Like I was always doing something for sports. And then I would go through times where I was injured and stuff too, but my weight stayed pretty constant, I would say. When I graduated high school, I weighed 138 pounds, and I'm 5'3" for reference, but I never felt like I was overweight. I was very muscular, very built. I've always had like a bigger upper body, and gymnastics like really brings that out if you are prone to put on muscle on your upper body. So I was like boxy, I guess, but I never thought of myself as overweight. I definitely was not skinny, but I was very strong. Then when I went to college in 2015, I started at Ohio State University. You know, I was living away from home. You have all the freedom and stuff, but I had no idea how to cook, and I was on a meal plan. So I honestly did not eat enough my freshman year at all. Like once you quit activity, I feel like you start paying more attention to what you're eating and your weight and stuff. And I didn't want to gain weight, so I just ate like 1,200 calories a day every day. I would go through phases of like tracking calories, not tracking calories, like trying to eat healthy. At this point, I started to have an idea of nutrition, and I knew I needed to start eating protein if I wanted to look a certain way. I needed to clean up my diet and just overall eat better. I still didn't know a lot about the breakdown of nutrition though. And as far as exercise, when I went to Ohio State, I joined a group called Charge. It was great. I loved it. They're pretty widespread throughout the US at college universities, but it's just a group of girls that are supposed to empower each other through fitness and nutrition. So that was great for me. That opened like a lot of new opportunities for me that I had never tried. Like we would exercise a couple times a week and just try new things, like try yoga, try weightlifting, hit circuits, anything. And then it also gave you a great support system of college girls that you could go to the gym with or go eat lunch with, whatever. So that was a great thing. I really enjoyed that group. Yeah, I did that my freshman year. My sophomore year, I was super busy. I think I tried to do it, and then I started working and doing a bunch of other stuff, so I didn't join anymore. And that's kind of when I went like solo on my fitness journey, I guess. So I also did the Bikini Body Guide by Kayla Itziens for probably 3 or 4 months. I did it for a pretty long time, and that was the first time that I ever like experienced true weight loss. Like, I changed my body a lot during that, not necessarily in a good way. I didn't know much about exercise and nutrition. I didn't follow her diet, but I did read it and like base my diet off of that, but I knew it wasn't enough food for me, and just the things on it I did not like. So I kind of like started eating on my own, and this was the first time I've ever eaten like grilled chicken or lean beef and stuff like that. So I would do that, eat a lot of protein, drink protein shakes, work out, and you would do a lot of cardio for the BBG guide, a lot of incline walking. And I liked it because it was only a few days a week. So I'd work out like 3 or 4 times a week, I think, with the circuits, and then just do cardio. And you do burn a lot of calories doing that, but you're not building any muscle. So I got down to 126 pounds doing that, but I looked very like flat, like I had no muscle on me at that point. I kind of realized that that wouldn't be the best thing for me to continue doing, but it was a good starting point. My sophomore year of college, I started getting into shadowing more. I started working. I was working in a research lab and taking pretty hard classes, so I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed. And then I also was going through a breakup at the time, and I feel like that is the first thing that triggered me to like really get into fitness and just start working on myself. Like, I had spent so much time putting time towards other people or other things, and I wanted to put time towards me and invest in myself, and weightlifting and bodybuilding made me feel good. So I started getting more into that and balancing it with a pretty hectic schedule. I played around with tracking macros, but I never stayed consistent for like several months. And I also got my dog Mila at the time, so I was pretty busy and stretched really thin, but I was kind of figuring out how to do fitness on my own, and I was more consistent with weightlifting. I decided to transfer to FSU. My family was moving to Florida. I wanted to be close to them. So I made the decision to transfer to FSU. In the summer before that, I was lifting very consistently. I was working at a gym, and I was lifting probably 5 to 6 days a week, but my diet was trash. It was so bad. I would just eat out all the time. I would go out a lot, eat out a lot, didn't really take care of myself outside of going to the gym. And I put on some weight during that time, like nothing crazy, but I definitely wasn't seeing the results I wanted to. So when I got to FSU in 2017, I started to look into competing in an NPC bikini competition. And I looked at coaches. There was a coach at a gym here, and I knew of a gym that was like a bodybuilding type of gym, so I joined that gym as soon as I got here. I did not know anybody, so I figured it would be good to be a part of like a group or a gym like that and maybe start working with their coach. So I did work with their coach, and it was not a great experience. It really like turned me off to competing for a long time. He didn't have the education that you need to be training people that are gonna compete. Looking back now, I know that, but at the time I didn't really know. I thought I like wasn't cut out to compete, but no, it just was not. It was not a good fit. The diet plan, like starting out, I was on like 1,200 calories a day, which for someone who has a significant amount of weight to lose to compete, that's not okay. And then I was doing a ton of cardio, like weightlifting in a way that I did not like to. So aside from that, it kind of like turned me off from competing, and then I was getting used to a new university, like trying to make new friends in a new place. So I stopped working with this coach. I knew it was not going to work out, and I was still lifting, but not as much as before. Like, it really just turned me off from the whole idea of competing and bodybuilding in general, which sucks. Like, I wish that wouldn't have happened. But yeah, I was like working out here and there, and then I was going out a lot. I was trying to make friends. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating enough. I was taking a heavy course load, physics and orgo together, just stretching myself very thin. In that semester, I ended up getting mono, so I got very sick. I tried to go to class and keep doing stuff, and I had to ultimately medically withdraw that semester, which for me at the time, like looking back at it now, it was not as big of a deal as I made it. To me, that was like devastating at the time, that I had to sit in bed while everyone else was like going to class and furthering their college education. I was like sitting in bed. I literally would sleep 18 hours a day. Like, it was crazy, and it lasted for like 3 months. So in that time, I had a lot of time to think, and that honestly was like a pivotal moment for me. Like, I did not want to be unhealthy like that again, or treat my body in the way that I had. I felt like I wanted to be a part of something bigger. I wanted to challenge myself. So when I got healthy it was January of 2018, I decided to reach out to Bair Aesthetics, Adison Barnhart, and we started working together, and that was probably the biggest turning point in my fitness journey. When I started working with Bair Aesthetics, I weighed 146 pounds, and I'll go ahead and insert my progress pictures from my first check-in. And we would just do weekly check-ins. I was counting macros, doing cardio, and then weightlifting. It was pretty intense for what I was used to, but I loved it. I saw results fairly quickly, and it really helped nutrition-wise working with a coach. I don't think I would be where I am without working with a coach. So if you're debating on getting a nutrition coach, I highly recommend it. It changed my entire fitness journey. So yeah, after about 2 months of working with my coach Adison, I decided to compete in an NPC competition. It's something I wanted to do for a long time, but I wasn't sure if I could do it, and I thought, like, I can't look like those girls, I'm not capable. The hard part about competing is the mental part. Like, anybody can compete and diet down. It's the mental part that is hard. And I realized if I can stay strong mentally, physically, I am more than capable of competing, just as other girls are able to. So that was super motivating to me. I knew that if I stick to my plan, I would look good when I competed. So that is what I did for the next like 10 months. I had a pretty good balance with dieting. Like, I didn't isolate myself or anything like that. I started making more friends at the gym. I started a fitness Instagram and would post workouts and stuff. That was super fun, and it was exciting to like share that part of my life with my Instagram followers and stuff, and they got to see me and how I changed over the 10 months prepping for a competition. So that was super cool to be able to do that. And I learned a lot during that time period about myself and about nutrition and competing in fitness. My first show was in August of 2018, and I got second in open in my first show, so I was nationally qualified, and I felt really confident going into the show. Like, I felt like I was ready. I had put my all into prep, and towards the end of prep it got very hard. You get to a point where your body's kind of done with dieting that hard, and you really have to push, and I had to push. I did 2-a-day cardios, 70 minutes of cardio a day, like 5 times a week. My macros were low. I was eating like 90 grams of carbs a day, 30 grams of fat, 125 grams of protein. So they weren't the lowest, but they were hard for me to hit. It was a challenge, and prep should be challenging. Like, towards the end of prep, you should feel like you cannot go on any further. Like, if you want to get to that level of stage lean, you should be pushing yourself past that comfort point, if that makes sense. So I knew on show day, like, I had given my all to this. I had pushed, and I was ready. And it was super fun. I loved competing the first time. It was awesome. I did get sick when I ate after the show. I was so hungry. Oh my god. I ate so much after my first show, and that was a learning experience not to do that again. And I did have a show, I think it was 3 weeks afterwards, so I kind of had a day of eating whatever I wanted, and then we were back in prep. So I enjoyed my day of free eating, and then I jumped right back in. Yeah, so at this time too, I was also working at the hospital, and my semester had just started. I was taking 16 credit hours. I was spread very thin. I was getting up at 4 a.m. to do cardio every morning, and then going to work at 7 a.m., coming home, lifting, going to school, doing more cardio, and it did take a toll on me towards the end. Like, going into my second show, we actually reversed into that show, because at that point I was lean enough, and we kind of wanted to maintain where I was at, tighten up a little bit. So we started increasing my food, and I was just dropping weight very quickly. I was not feeling good. I was feeling very sick. Working at the hospital, I was walking probably like 20,000 steps per shift. I was a PCA, so I was taking care of people, and I was not sleeping enough, and my body was just done. So actually the week going into my second show, I was put on prednisone because I was very sick. And I remember waking up like a couple days before the show. I'll try to find a picture of it. My face just like blew up. Like, I had the biggest bags under my eyes. At this point I was like, I'm gonna try my best this weekend and I'm going on this stage. But I knew at that point this is probably my last show of the season. My body was just done. I think I actually put my 2 weeks in at my job, and school was getting super demanding, so I realized I need to like buckle up with school, and I need to give my body a little bit of a rest. So I competed at that show. I was happy with how I looked. I did not do well. I placed like last, and I came in at 106 pounds, so I came in 6 pounds lighter, and for that particular show I was just way tinier than the other girls. Like, muscle wise, I did not have enough muscle on me, so that was like a realization too. Like, I need to take a long off season. I need to build up if I want to compete at this level, and I did want to compete at a national level, and I realized I need to go through a bulking phase to be able to do that and just grow and get better. This show was a bit of a struggle for me. It is very hard to reverse diet. Most competitors know that. I had a feeling it would be hard. I wasn't binge eating, but I had trouble sticking to my macros. And I kind of realized, wow, like, my relationship with food is not very healthy right now. Like, I can't stick to these macros when before I was doing it, and now that I'm not competing, it just was so hard. I did put on weight fairly quickly. I never felt like, oh my god, like I'm gaining so much weight, but I was putting on weight pretty fast, like more than we would like me to. So that was kind of really discouraging for me too. And then I just wasn't super motivated to go to the gym. Like, I would do it, but I wasn't very happy with it. I don't know, like lifting, I just was so burnt out with all of it. And then I started struggling in school and just started beating myself up, and I had burnt out at that point, and I just was so down on myself. I had to drop a class because I was not doing well, and I just felt like I had all this stuff going for me, and then I just like failed at everything, and that was not the case. But at the time, that is how I portrayed it, and I felt bad for myself, and like I had made the wrong decisions by competing afterwards for a little bit. And I don't think that was the case now. I think I just needed to distance myself from that type of training for a while. So I realized my eating wasn't healthy. Like, my relationship with food was not healthy. If I did not have numbers in front of me, I didn't want anything to do with it. So if I was not hitting my macros perfectly, I was like over it. And that right there is an issue if you're not going to count macros for the rest of your life. So I really wanted to intuitive eat and just be like healthy and mindful, but be able to go enjoy nights out with my friends and not worry about if I'm eating out at a restaurant, not worry about hitting numbers. So yeah, another big thing post-show, I did not have a great support system, and that was like a downfall of competing, I would say. I did not put a lot of time towards relationships or friends, and looking back at it, that's a part of competing that I don't necessarily like. There are great things about competing, that is not one of them. I wasn't like selfish, but you have to put a ton of time towards yourself and your fitness goals and your gym time, your nutrition, and it just is exhausting. Like, that's all you do. So yeah, coming out of post show, I wanted to make more friends, and I had surrounded myself with like not the greatest people, and that's something that I realized over the months. That was a huge learning lesson for me, and I had a lot of good friends during that time too that I'm still friends with. I'm not saying everyone around me was like toxic or whatever, but I just needed to pay attention to who was in my circle and why. And I feel like with competing too, there's a big emphasis on how you look, and I feel like I made friends when I was competing that weren't necessarily my friend because they liked me. They liked the idea of competing and being around someone who was competing and how I looked, and they thought it was cool that I lost so much weight, and that's great. But a year later, those people are not my friends anymore. That's kind of like a life lesson. At the beginning of this year, I started just taking a step back from tracking. I was lifting more with friends, like being more chill about it. I wasn't doing a ton of cardio. I would go to the gym to feel good, and just shifting into that mindset of like, I'm eating to be healthy, I'm working out to be healthy. And that was a really good time period for me. I found a great balance. I repaired my relationship with food, my body felt better, my hormones were in a better place, my digestion was a lot better. And then my relationship started getting a lot better too. So my grades went up crazy, like amounts last semester. So it was the best semester I've ever had in college. So I really did need to take that time to refocus and realign. And yeah, I am glad that I intuitive ate during that time. That was the main thing. Like, I needed to take a step back from tracking. In April of this year, I was lifting and a piece of equipment malfunctioned and hit me in the head like this, and I got a concussion, and it turned into a whole like chronic illness type of thing. Yeah, so that has impacted my journey a lot right now. I went and saw a sports medicine doctor at USF, and he found a cervical spine injury, and this was kind of like a game changer. It confirmed that I did not just get a concussion, and that this was a kind of a major injury. And we didn't know if I would ever compete again, if I will ever be able to lift to that extent again. Working out, it is a day-by-day basis of if I'm feeling good or not. Yeah, and you can't compete if you are inconsistent. So I don't know if I will ever compete again. I would like to one day, but my top goal right now is to get into medical school and honestly to get healthy again, get this injury under control. I'm still not weightlifting to my full potential, and that is something I'd like to do first before deciding to prep again. Like, I would like to go through at least a 6-month bulk before jumping in to something like that again. Right now, currently, I weigh 125 pounds, and I'm very happy with my body right now and my workout routine and nutrition. I'm in such a good place with nutrition, and that makes me really happy, and I intuitive eat, and it is great. Like, I feel a lot of freedom with my food, and I feel that I've mastered like how to eat healthy. What does my body need to feel fueled? I realized that I can eat intuitively and still reach my goals, And now I work out, I lift here and there. I love lifting. I would be in there every day if I could now. Like, I love going to the gym, but as of right now, maybe 3 times a week max. I try my best to get in when I can, but with pain and stuff, I take it day by day. So yeah, I walk to all my classes, so that's activity. And then I do F45 1 to 2 times a week, which is super fun. So yeah, I'm kind of just rolling with it, doing what I can. I love exercise again. Like, I genuinely get excited to get up in the morning and go to the gym and to eat healthy, and that is important. Like, this is a lifestyle. This is not, if you want to permanently lose weight, you gotta find something that you like doing. I mean, you don't want to be miserable. And I genuinely enjoy lifting when I can and doing F45 and doing the things that I do now. So that is super exciting. Like, I'm in a great place right now as far as fitness and stuff. And yeah, we will see if I track again. Tracking is a great tool. Tracking macros is hands down like the best tool to weight loss. If you've never tracked macros and you feel stuck in weight loss, please take like, I don't even know, 2 or 3 months, track your macros every day. It will be life-changing for you. Like, once you learn how to manipulate your food, you are set. That is the most important part of weight loss. I asked you guys on Instagram if you had any questions for my fitness journey, my weight loss journey, whatever you want to call it. And I'm gonna go ahead and answer those now. So, how many days a week do you train? I just kind of went into this, but on a good week where I'm not in pain, 5 days a week. Last week, 0 times. It really depends on the week. But like I said, I like to walk to my classes. That's activity right there. Like, walking places, taking the stairs, little things like that, especially if you have an injury. Stay active, do little things like that, do what you can. Ideally, I like to get into the gym at least 4 times a week weightlifting. That is what I like to do. That's what works for me. I recommend doing at least 4 times a week of whatever you like. Walking, hiking, cycling, swimming, whatever it is. Do what you like, do what makes you happy and what makes your body feel good afterwards. For me, it's weightlifting, so that is what I do. How did you manage to lose weight at first? I think for me, the key was to start working with Bair aesthetics and to stick to a plan 100%, not take little cheat days here and there, like 100% consistency. And I remember telling myself, like, I'm gonna work with my coach and I'm gonna hit my macros 100% for 3 weeks straight. And after 3 weeks, if I don't see results or I don't think it's worth it, then I'll stop. And in those 3 weeks, it was 100% worth it. Once you get past those first couple weeks of changing your lifestyle, changing your diet, I mean, it's hard at first, but stay consistent. Give it time to work. I promise it becomes a lifestyle. It becomes habit, and then it's easier to stick with it. And just like rewarding yourself too. Like, you know, if I would stick to my plan for 4 weeks, I would like get myself a new workout top or new shoes or whatever it is. So stuff like that is super important too. And progress pictures. Make sure you're tracking your progress. And yeah. Favorite thing about prep? Love you, by the way. Love you too, girl. I love all of my Bair aesthetics girls. My favorite thing about prep was how empowering it was to me. It truly showed me like I can do anything that I set my mind to. Like, it showed me how mentally tough I am and how strong I am. And I've translated that now into pursuing medical school and studying, like long studying days. And yeah, just not telling myself I can't do something. Like, if you want something bad enough and you work for it and you're consistent, you will get it. How do you know it's time for a refeed or a cheat meal? So with a coach, I let my coach make those decisions. If there was a big event or something important to me, I would ask her if I could have a cheat meal, but it may be like once a month for me. And that was like not during prep really, that was in the beginning phases. But once you get into prep or a cut, I think refeeds can be very useful. Sometimes we would do them once a week, and other times we wouldn't do them at all for a couple months. So that's something I let my coach decide. But what I would say, if you're doing your own cut, first of all, I would not do refeeds or cheat meals until you're seeing like consistent results and you're consistently hitting all of your macros every day and training consistently, because you're adding in another variable that's kind of hard to track if you're not being consistent already, if that makes sense. So if you've been consistent for a couple weeks, I would say, have a cheat meal maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, especially if you're not competing, just to keep yourself going. Like, I know for me that keeps me motivated. If I knew, oh, I have a cheat meal this week, it's easier to stay on track. And then for a refeed, I think if you are hitting plateaus, that's a good time to incorporate refeeds. And not like a plateau for like a couple weeks, I'm talking like a plateau for like 4 weeks. Refeeds can be a good tool to use in those situations, like one high carb day a week or back-to-back refeeds 2 days in a row and then dropping back down in macros. That sometimes can kick up some weight loss. So just play around with it, and when your body's hungry, cutting is uncomfortable, losing weight is uncomfortable, but also you don't want to be in that phase for like a super long amount of time if you're not competing. So I would say once every week or two for a cheat meal, and just don't go too crazy. How to curb hunger when cutting and how to get better sleep when cutting. So towards the end of competing, when I was really lean, I did not sleep very well. I think that just comes along with cutting, and I don't know, I had a lot of insomnia and just would run off of 5 hours of sleep a night. But for sleep, limit caffeine later in the day. I don't like to eat right before I go to bed. That's just me personally though, that depends on the person. Don't drink a ton of water before bed, and I know melatonin helps a lot of people, and I think just having like a good nighttime routine, like cutting can be a stressful time on your body, and if your mind is stressed too, like you're not going to be getting good sleep. So make sure your mind is relaxed. That's the best way to do a cut, the most successful way. So keep your mind relaxed, have a good nighttime routine, and have good sleep hygiene. That's another thing. So don't like do things in your bed during the day, just don't take naps, that type of stuff. That's what helped me. And then curbing hunger when cutting, I did a lot of like energy drinks, which I don't know if I recommend that, but yeah, coffee, energy drinks, Powerade Zero, Gatorade Zero, diet sodas, that helped me a lot. Sugar-free Jell-O is great, and just volume foods. Make sure you're eating like your micronutrients and eating big meals. If you do feel hungry, start adding in the micronutrients, add in lettuce and that type of stuff. It'll make you feel like you're eating more even though you are not. And did you feel guilty not tracking food for a while? I would say no, not at first, because it's something I put a lot of thought into and I knew it was the right move for me at the time, and I just didn't like where I was heading as far as like being like food obsessed, kind of. Like I didn't like always thinking about food and always feeling hungry and always like needing to track and planning out. So I did not feel guilty at first, but yeah, I think over time I felt a little bit guilty that I wasn't like prepping or competing or tracking as much. Like I definitely feel guilty if I don't go to the gym now, and I felt guilty over the summer like not being able to eat and hit my macros because I didn't want to lose all this muscle, and I have lost a lot of muscle, and that's okay. That's a part of life. Like, you can only control so much. So I would say overall, no, I did not feel guilty. At this point, I definitely don't feel guilty. I think it was a great move for me. If you do feel guilty, just realize it's a tool, and if you're not getting anything out of it at that time, don't use it. If it's causing you more harm than good, then tracking is not the tool to use at that time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe below. And if you want to, you can follow me on Instagram too. I used to post a lot of fitness content. I still do here and there, and nutrition and what I eat and that type of stuff. So thank you guys so much.